All right, guys, let's move on here. The next step in woods evaluations. We are in an area here that I do not like. Most of these trees are either sassafras, sweet gum. Actually, no, there's no sweet gum in here. I'm sorry. There's wild cherry, there's maple, there's hickory, there's black gum, not sweet gum, but black gum. And a black gum tree is that big old dude right there. There's way too many trees in here that are of no value to me right now for the deer. So when it comes for deer looking for food, they're going to skip this area. I hardly see deer here unless they're coming to the food plot. That's about the only reason they're using it. So I definitely don't like that at all. And of course, what's on the field edge right here, there's no mature oak trees in here whatsoever in this portion. There's a lot of dead material here. This is what I consider dirty woods. Prescribed fires will remove this. It reduces the obstacles in the way of deer, and it reduces injuries to deer. Believe me, they can be as agile as they are. They can still break ankles and break legs or stove them up if there's too much debris in here. So a prescribed fire would be something I would recommend for this portion of the woods. Whole lot of debris in here. This fire would get really hot, and if left unattended, this is the perfect situation for a fire to grow to an extremely large size if there is enough fuel in here. And that's why you want to do burns roughly every 3 to 5 years or every 3 or 4 years. Try to reduce the fuel in the woods. This portion of the woods has a lot of fuel in it. And if a wildfire was to ever break out or an arsonist set my ridge on fire, it would be very hard to control this without a boundary. Very hard. All right, so over here, I do have some very good trees to look at, and then I want to show you an example of another nutrition war going on with the trees. So right here, I have two very large persimmon trees. These are awesome trees to have. Here's another one right here. Very large persimmons. These produce tons of good food for the deer. These are sweet. It's like candy to a deer. So these are trees that are a must-have in my book. And I've got two fine examples, but the trees cannot reach their potential because the canopy is being forced to grow out into the field. This big old hickory tree is causing problems. Now here is my experimental zone that I cleaned off a while back. You can see there's a lot fewer trees here. I had all kinds of stuff come up. And this is what you want. This right here is future food for the deer. So in this case, I have something on the ground growing for the deer. So the grade right here would be a little higher than in other areas because I've got a lot of good potential here. And I really need to clean some of these leaves off and allow that greenery to grow back in here. But it's here in the spring, and the deer were always in this little pocket browsing away at this. What I intend to do this year, though, is introduce a bur oak tree to this spot. I'm going to clean off this American elm and this sassafras tree, get rid of them, and I'm probably going to at least reduce 1 or 2 cedars right here. I haven't decided yet. That's if I get permission. I can at least get rid of this one, I know for sure, and that'll help that persimmon out a little bit. All right, so let's go over here to another bad area. And I about tripped on debris in here. That's another issue in itself. All right, so here, got a huge problem with this. I've got this pine and this big old boy right here sucking nutrition out of this white oak. And if you look at the top of this tree, it's growing like a sandwich, just like the other oak trees I have on the property. This tree will never reach good potential because of these pine trees. So there's a war of nutrition going between this oak and these two pines this close together. The pine trees are winning the battle. That tree right here is just a beast. It's got a huge canopy in it, and every bit of that canopy, you see where those pines are, this oak could so easily take. It would grow well beyond what these pines are. And now I'm losing 80% of potential food because of these pines. Now, I do not have full permission to cut them all down, but I believe I can talk her into this one. And if I can at least cut this guy down, that's going to be a big help to this tree and get it closer to better potential. And it's one less big tree sucking nutrients out of the ground and also causing the ground here to be more acidic, which means these nuts won't taste as good as if an oak tree is out here by itself away from cedars and pines. So that's another thing you got to think about when you do deep dives onto this. But this tree right here is just to me, it's in big trouble with that type of shading out going on right there, because the direct light is missing except for right here where I created this hole. And these bottom limbs here have really started growing a lot better because of that, and they're trying to race out toward this big opening right here. But when I cut down these additional trees right here, and probably going to cut that big old dead oak tree snag down, it's getting pretty close to safe removal, and I'll put that bur oak right here, and that will be a huge addition in the long term, not the short term, but the long term. All right, let's weave back up the hill here. We'll just cover as much as I can here in this video. Another white oak right here. Absolutely beautiful tree. And I would give this one a grade of a B. It has a lot of good potential here. Actually a pretty decent canopy on it. Not bad at all, but it can be a lot better. This sassafras is causing all kinds of problems. You can see where it's killed off limbs up here at the top now, and it's kind of made a V where there's a void there. So by removing this tree, I'm taking out nutrient competition in the ground, and I'm taking out a sunlight sucker, and this white oak right here can greatly benefit. I could probably add 40% more acorns in this tree's future just by allowing that one side right there to limb back out. There's other trees here that are competing with it as well. So when you get to these bigger trees, this maple tree is now a problem. These hickory trees are now a problem. So the bigger these trees get, the further out you would have to do work. And if you really want to do it right, it would have to look like a savanna, and I'd say nearly 80% of these trees would be gone. That's if you want it to look right and have a grade A quality managed forest or savanna. Here's another white oak. Kind of got an odd bottom to it. Really scrawny top. It's got an ugly crook in it. This is not a high quality tree. You can see the crook in it right there. This wild cherry right here is causing some big problems, not only for this tree, but for this white oak right here too. It's going to start killing off this side of the tree as long as it continues to grow at the rate it's going. And it's growing about a foot a year, and that's not what I want to see. So this wild cherry would be something I would consider removing if I had permission to do so. And let's see here. I know there's another good oak here somewhere. probably back this way. Here's another decent white oak. Horrible canopy in it though, one-sided, and if I cut this poplar tree down, that would help it out pretty decently, but the maple here is your biggest problem. And now you've got competition with this tree. This sassafras tree is just, that's gotta go. There's no way I want these two trees growing like this. Somebody's going to get in trouble down the road because of that. So I want to get rid of that tree. And of course you can see here where this wild cherry has a very extensive root system, and look what it's doing. It's growing right around this white oak. So there's going to be some choking off of that tree at some point. All right, so I'm going to stop the video here, and then I'm going to make the next one.